Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all doing stupendously. And welcome to the Graduate Gamer Book Club, the monthly series where the community picks a book for us all to read and I sit down and discuss it with you all. As this is the first episode in the series, I thought Black Library would be the perfect place to start, and what better book to start with than the one about my favourite Primarch of all time, Lorgar. This month we are taking a look at Lorgar, Bearer of the Word, one of the many installments in the Black Library Primarch series and written by the ever wonderful Gav Thorpe. Well, just because this isn't Snipe and Wib's channel doesn't mean that you get a free pass to not take a shot. Oh, alcohol, great way to start the video, it can only go up from here. This novel covers the formative years of my baby boy Lorgar, all the way up until the big emperor himself beams down to the planet to welcome him back into the Imperial fold. The book also covers a lot of the life of a key character in Lorgar and the Word Bearers, Cor Phaeron, up until he is inducted into the ranks of the Adeptus Astartes. At one or two points, the novel cuts to the future, where the Word Bearers are carrying out the will of the Emperor whilst laying the foundations for the great betrayal that is to come, but generally speaking, most of the novel takes place on the world of Colchis, where Lorgar was sent by the Chaos Gods when he was abducted from the Big Emperor's secret lab. The novel is broken down into three separate books that all cover various stages of Lorgar's life. We have Revelation, Ascendance, and Invocation. The way that this novel is broken down really reminds me of books in real life, such as the Bible, which kind of makes sense, considering the Word Bearers are the religious, crazy zealots of the 40k universe. Rather uniquely, the novel begins with a section covering how time works throughout the novel, as the Cochlean calendar is different from that of the Terran calendar, with one Cochlean year being roughly 5 Terran years. Personally, I really like this edition, as not only does it help build immersion with the 40k setting, but it also helps develop the setting before the novel even really begins. First of all, we have Revelation. This book covers the start of Lorgar's life from when he is discovered by a tribe known as the Declined, to when he is adopted by Cor Phaeron and begins his training as an adept of the Bearer of the Word. One of the first key points to take away from this book is the fact that we learn very early on Lorgar is being taught to worship the Chaos Gods from the very beginning. The various religious orders of Colchis are all cults for the Chaos Gods, just under different names from what we the audience know them as. There's the King of Storms and Lord of Blood, Cain. Nah, not that Cain, different Cain. The Queen of Mysteries and Lady of Fate, Tzen. The Prince of Hearts and Sire of Dreams, Slanat. And finally, the Princess of Life and Mother of Hope, Narag. This information not only displays how deeply ingrained the worship of chaos was in Lorgar, informing the later choices he makes in his life, but also how easily the denizens of the 40k universe are able to be tricked into worshipping chaos, as many of them don't actually know what they're really worshipping. This book also provides insight to the various biological enhancements that the Primarchs have received, as we watch Lorgar grow from a mere boy to an adult in the space of 1.2 Cochlean years, or roughly 6 Terran years. We see how quickly their enhanced intelligence allows them to learn, as Lorgar masters many of the various languages he encounters on Colchis within a matter of days, on top of enhanced healing, strength, and his psychic potential. The thoughts of those around Lorgar also echo that of ours, as they are continuously amazed by these abilities, and it only serves to turn them further down the path of chaos, as they believe that he has truly been sent to them by the powers to either be the bearer of the word, or maybe even a next chaos god himself. We also see Lorgar's naive purity get corrupted by that of Cor Phaeron, as he is led further and further down the path of chaos, which will ultimately lead to his downfall. This book culminates in an attempted mutiny by a faction within the cult, as they seek to hang Cor Phaeron so Lorgar can be installed as their new leader. Lorgar swiftly puts down this rebellion, but Cor Phaeron is still ultimately forced to declare Lorgar as the new Bearer of the Word, something that not only harkens to his title as Primarch of the Word Bearers, but also strengthens Cor Phaeron's hold over the young Primarch. Overall, this first book not only serves to help establish the story and the cast of characters, but also feels like a commentary on societies that we see in real life, where people are indoctrinated to think in certain ways and act in certain ways, as well as the certain methods that the leaders can use to help keep their followers in line. This book is a strong start to the novel and leads neatly into the next book, Ascendance. Having taken on this new role as Bearer of the Word, Ascendance depicts the rise of Lorgar and his followers on Colchis, eventually leading to them claiming the holy city of Varadesh, that Cor Phaeron and his party were exiled from many years ago. At this point in the story, we also see Lorgar's psychic potential really begin to develop, as he is plagued by visions of the Emperor and Magnus arriving on Colchis to welcome him back into the fold of the Imperium. These visions serve to make Lorgar and his followers turn from worship of the powers to worship of the One, the Emperor, hearkening to future events where the Word Bearers will worship the Emperor like a god and be punished for it. Like many of the Primarchs, this section also shows how easily they are able to rise to prominence on their home planets, thanks to their genetic engineering, really hammering home the power of the Primarchs. This power is further emphasized when Lorgar single-handedly slays a beast known as the Kingworm, something that the denizens of Colchis had come to know as a manifestation of the power's will. Overall, this book is a nice bridge into the final section of the novel and serves to really show us the true potential and power of the Primarchs as a whole. Before moving on to the next section of the book, Invocation, I just briefly wanted to touch on the short story that bridges the gap, called The Brotherhood. This short story is set during the Horus Heresy, as Corphaeron and word-bearers of the Ashen Circle are busy burning a library of all articles related to Emperor worship, after Lorgar's chastisement from the big man himself. To complete this task, they are also joined by other members of their chapter, Terran-born word-bearers who are loyal to the Emperor over Lorgar. This short story gives a brief glimpse into the betrayal that is to come, as the Terran-born word-bearers, their loyalties made clear, are executed by the Ashen Circle. Corphaeron's final line of "leave them amongst the ashes of the Emperor that they failed" really embodies the spirit of the Horus Heresy for me, and also really reminds me of why I'm such a big fan of this specific chapter of Space Marines. Overall, this short story makes for a really impactful bookend into the final section of this novel, Invocation. Invocation is by far the shortest section of this book, and tells of the final days of Lorgar's time on Colchis as he launches a crusade to conquer the planet and bring the light of the One to its inhabitants. This crusade is caused by Lorgar's visions, as he's led to believe that once all of the inhabitants of Colchis have been brought to worship the One, the Emperor and Magnus will arrive to reward them. For me, there are two real takeaway moments from this book. First is Corphaeron's secretive work to ensure the worship of the Chaos Gods continues on Colchis despite Lorgar's new religion. This very much echoes Corphaeron's eventual work within the Horus Heresy as he works to establish the lodges within the Space Marine chapters, as well as creating and maintaining secret cults that worship chaos within the Imperium, leading to the events of the Horus Heresy. It serves to show how from day one, Corphaeron and thus Lorgar were doomed to walk the path of chaos, and how deeply Chaos's plan ran to overthrow the Emperor. The second takeaway from this chapter is the relationship between Lorgar and Nero. Throughout the book, Nero has been the voice of reason in Lorgar's head, making sure that the youth never strays too far down the path of chaos and thinks about the broader picture and saving people as a whole rather than just worshipping the One. We begin to see this relationship fracture, as both we, the audience, and Nero realize how deeply ingrained the worship of chaos is into Lorgar's soul. This fracturing climaxes at the end of Invocation, as Lorgar kills Nero to save Corphaeron, a symbolic moment that cements to us Lorgar's loyalty to chaos, entrapping him into a future of murder and betrayal. This final book serves to show Lorgar's fall from grace, as the Chaos Gods secure their hold over the Primarch and another piece of their great plan is put in place. This emotional ending to the book truly displays the power of chaos, as Lorgar so casually kills someone who in a way was a second father to him, to protect someone who for a large portion of the book, if not the entire book, is his abuser. To me, this represents one of the many faces of chaos, and shows us how powerful chaos really is, as it corrupts individuals down to their very soul. The novel ends with one final short story dubbed The Galaxy Burns, which covers the final purge of worship of the Emperor within the Word-Bearers. On the surface, to both the Imperium and the Emperor, this act confirms the chapter's loyalty to the Emperor and the end of Emperor worship. But in actuality, this act heralds in a new kind of worship, the worship of chaos. My favourite moment from this short story has got to be Corphaeron's realisation that even though everything went as he planned and he foresaw, in reality, Lorgar had been manipulating events from day one. Ever since the day that he found Lorgar in that declined camp, all the events had occurred because Lorgar allowed them to. Lorgar had been manipulating events from the very beginning, and now, having reached a point where he has a chapter loyal to him and Chaos under his command, he no longer has any need for Corphaeron. What Corphaeron had thought of as a bond between tutor and student, father and son, was all a lie, another layer to Lorgar's manipulation. This realization brings the book to a powerful ending, cementing in our minds not only the power of a Primarch, but the power of chaos itself. In conclusion, Lorgar, Bearer of the Word, is a truly amazing novel that serves to not only give us some crucial backstory into the best Primarch, but also serves to expand our knowledge of the Horus Heresy as a whole. It's a great piece of writing by Gav Thorpe and a book that I would wholeheartedly recommend to anybody remotely interested in word bearers or wants to learn more about the origins of the Horus Heresy as a whole. That's what I think about this book, but what do you think? Make sure to let me know in the comments down below. In the description you will also find a link to my Goodreads profile, the website where I will eventually be posting full reviews and even having discussions with you all about these books. Next month we will be reading Fulgrim by Josh Reynolds, so I'd love for you to join me in this and make sure to go out and pick it up. In future, there will be a community vote to decide which book we read, but if you have any suggestions, make sure to leave them down in the comments, or you can contact me on Twitter. If you like this video, please consider dropping it a like and maybe even subscribing, as it really does help the channel out. Here is some wonderful content for your viewing pleasure, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.